Brian Westbrook with GeekWire Studios at the AWS Marketplace Seller Conference 2024, joined by Courtney McShane, Senior Director, Global Head of AWS Business for ServiceNow. First of all, welcome to the conference. You having a good time so far?
Thank you so much, Brian. It is amazing to be back. I was here last year, and it's awesome to be here now.
One of the things I love about being at a conference year over year is watching how things evolve and grow. Let's start by talking about the ServiceNow and AWS relationship. Where did it begin and how did you get involved?
I kicked off right after we signed the strategic collaboration agreement, which is public. And as soon as that took place, I built out a go-to-market plan. I started hiring a team. And I'm now responsible for all things go-to-market and sales between ServiceNow and AWS. In the past, I have led very complex strategic relationships with formerly VMware Tanzu and Dell Technologies, ran a $500 million P&L. And ServiceNow and AWS is the opportunity to supersize that. And of course, AWS Marketplace is the delivery mechanism to do so.
Now, there's a fun story about how the relationship was born. What can you tell us about that?
Our mutual CEOs, we have had C-level support from the very beginning. So at the time, our two CEOs, Adam Slepsky and Bill McDermott, met at the World Economic Forum, and they were in the very back corner of the conference, and they sat down and they thought, okay, we're gonna dream big, think big, dream big. And the idea was, how do we build $1 billion business together? So since then, we have had the privilege, this business has had the privilege of having C-level support, having sales adoption, and really leveraging that support to drive growth.
As you've built out this relationship, what was the learning curve like? And maybe share some tips and tricks you learned along the way?
So day one of Go Live was January 31st, 2024.
Okay.
So 6 months ago.
Nice.
And on January 31st, 2024, we booked our very first customer.
Day one.
Day one.
Nice, congratulations.
Thank you. We provisioned them on day two. They are now going to be fully implemented next month, so we'll be able to look back and evaluate and track metrics and value to the customer. Super excited about that. We're working very closely with their implementation partner. And they're going to be our first public reference customers. So there's just so much momentum that kicked off immediately day one. We did a lot of learning in Q1 of January, February, if you will, and then in Q2, we overachieved our expectations in a massive way, which we're really, really proud of. So we did our first, what's called CPPO, Channel Partner Private Offer. So booked AWS Marketplace through a reseller. We did our first $10+ million net new ACV deal. We did 4 net new logos for ServiceNow, which was very significant. We did our first international deal, which is interesting because that wasn't a part of the plan at all. And we actually booked the second largest AWS Marketplace transaction in the history of AWS.
Wow,
so
impressive.
Enormous amount of growth in a very consolidated period of time. We're now working with one of the largest banks in the United States, and because their database points are over 750 points, we are now working with AWS to build an expanded environment within the existing data center to accommodate their size and scale.
So you're talking about a lot of accomplishments, a lot of checking the boxes, a lot of things that surprised even your team. What have you learned and how have you disseminated that learning moving forward? Like, say, for example, you've had to tweak and adjust things. Obviously, you don't be that successful by saying, here's our plan, we're sticking to it. For example, you said you were not even expecting international. So you've had to pivot. Tell us about that a little bit.
So one of the first learnings, and when we really kicked things off, the guidance was we have to build a better together message and story. And we spent months probably of time just thinking, okay, what makes ServiceNow and AWS truly unique that we can tell the world? Yeah. And I think a lot of ISVs would agree with this, that is a really important message to have. The guidance I would have is don't let that stop you from selling. Don't let that stop you from closing opportunities, because every single day we learn more, we expand more, we are always tweaking that message and learning from customers. And so, ServiceNow is not your average ISV. We have 30 million plus workloads. We are a $10 billion company going to $20 billion. The growth is so significant. And so having that message is so incredibly valuable, but just don't let it stop the momentum.
Let's talk about some of those key learnings. What are 2 or 3 of the best practices that you've learned in developing this partnership?
So let's talk about that actual message, right? Like the true value to the customer. So we put it into 3 categories. We have cost savings, cloud strategy, and then continuous innovation. And those 3 vectors are really what drive the power of ServiceNow and AWS. So when you combine cloud strategy plus digital strategy, that's where the magic happens, and the ability to invest strategically with ServiceNow will fast track a customer's ability to get to the cloud faster and move to the cloud. And so when we look at cost savings, I'm probably speaking to the choir here, but the ability to have consolidated billing, the ability to capitalize on existing spend with AWS and be able to decrement that spend with strategic investments like ServiceNow, that is so powerful. It's this consumer ability to consume an enterprise product and software, which is just seamless, and it's just amazing and very powerful. The second piece is cloud strategy. So many of our customers, CIO level customers, they have a strategy and they have an opinion and they have a choice. And so now ServiceNow and AWS gives them that choice. They can stay with ServiceNow Cloud, where we have our own world-class cloud, or they can choose AWS or other hyperscalers. And giving them that choice is very powerful because they see the ability to deploy projects faster. They see integration costs go lower. They see that when you have all of your data in one consolidated location, audit and governance and security compliance and regulatory compliance is just simpler, right? And that's just so powerful. The one thing that I think is underappreciated is also talent. And so when a CIO says, I want my developers to be happy, thriving, and stay.
Okay.
These developers really love to work on the latest and greatest tech. So having the ability to develop on ServiceNow plus AWS is far greater than just AWS or just ServiceNow.
Right.
So it's amazing. And so then we'll talk about continuous innovation, and that's really where we get unique. ServiceNow and AWS have over 100 plus integrations built out of the box, way prior to signing a strategic collaboration agreement, prior to this whole launch on Marketplace. So they are fully built out of the box integrations. And if I just mention a couple of them, they're so exciting and they're so powerful. So one of them is predictive equipment maintenance. So that brings together Amazon Monitron and ServiceNow operational technology workflow. Amazon Monitron are these little orange devices. Yeah. You snap them onto machines or equipment, and it's an IoT sensor that will determine, is this machine running hot? Is it vibrating? Is it going to break down? And that will alert and say, hey, like this machine is at risk for shutting down, but our OT workflow makes sure that it goes to the right person with the right skill set at the right time to fix the machine before the system breaks down. And this use case is vast. It can be on slushy machines in a gas station. It can be on trucks. It can be on HVAC systems in a hospital. I mean, it's just, the use case is just so limitless. We're actually working with a car manufacturer where they take a pile of, just car pieces and turn it into a car that goes onto a boat in 1 minute and 38 seconds.
They can build a car in just over 90 seconds.
It's unbelievable.
Wow.
And so between AWS and ServiceNow, we are now able to say, not only are we going to decrease that time, but we're going to make sure you are up and running constantly because of that integration. When they have downtime on their equipment, it's $500,000 per minute of just lost, right? Per minute. Unbelievable. So that's just one of them. We have Next Generation Contact Center, which brings together Amazon Connect with our CSM, Customer Service Management offering. You're a consumer, I'm a consumer. You call in, if you have your question answered quickly, you're going to spend more, you're going to be happier, and you're going to be loyal.
And not to mention that's less cost for the business because you can turn those around much more quickly. You've given us a lot of information about how this partnership adds value to your customers, but what is the value to the end user, to the customer ultimately? Like, what is that value? How does that look?
So to me, it's like you buy an iPhone, right? And it just continues to get better. Like always, in terms of continuous innovation, you have this iPhone, then you get all these new apps, and you get all these new podcasts, and there's just nothing better than that continuous investment in our innovation. So you have access to our product roadmaps. You have access financially to decrement existing spend. You have the ability to just, have easy spending, and you are committing your cloud strategy to ensure that all of your data is in one place. It's just a really cool opportunity for customers.
It's very exciting, and I love that you use that analogy to kind of wrap it up and bring it home. Now, Courtney, in the last couple of seconds we have, real quick, what are we going to be talking about at this conference in 2025? What's next for this partnership?
So as I mentioned, we are going to continue to pour love into innovation. On Tuesday, we just launched a manufacturing process automation bundle for customers. So it is a low-cost entry bundle for customers, which is so awesome. What I can't help think about is, what does that look like if we make it a public offer, right? Like, what if we could truly allow customers not to, go in and talk to a rep and negotiate some sort of contract and then get an opportunity to use ServiceNow? What if they could truly swipe their credit card and have implementation already lined up and just get running? That would be amazing. We are investing in geo expansion. So every sales leader at ServiceNow is clamoring to get access to ServiceNow and AWS. We haven't even we're at the tip of the spear of public sector expansion, commercial expansion, and we haven't done a lot of investing in marketing and enablement and sales plays. So this is just the beginning, and it is such a cool time to be on the ground floor of ServiceNow and AWS.
I am very excited to watch that journey, not only personally, but we appreciate you watching as well. I'm Brian Westbrook with GeekWire Studios. Thanks for watching from AWS Marketplace Seller Conference 2024.